Hundreds of miles away from these peaks in New York's Adirondack Mountains, quiet lake communities are suffering from a dangerous problem, one that starts right here in coal country.
We got to the middle of the pond.
There are hundreds of ponds like this one in New York's Adirondack State Park.
So you come out here once a month?
Yep.
An avid fisherman, Paul Casson, knows these waters well.
I've actually seen the results from some of the waters that I fish, and it's changed my habits a little bit into what fish I will or will not eat.
That's because his job is to help study the health of the Adirondack's ponds, lakes, and streams. And the results show toxic levels of mercury in some fish.
Like 3 times the standard for human consumption.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's something that I wouldn't eat.
The cause? An aerial assault that starts hundreds of miles away, here in the heart of industrial America. Coal-fired power plants from West Virginia to Ohio spew sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide high into the air. Eastward winds carry these toxins all the way to the high peaks of the Adirondack Mountains. And when they mix with moisture in the atmosphere, the result is acid rain.
The new warning today about the dangers of acid rain.
It sounds like a problem from another era, before we regulated air pollution in the 1980s and 90s.
Coal-burning power plants in the Ohio Valley were major sources of the 24 million tons of sulfur dioxide.
Back then, the country was just becoming aware of the environmental impacts of coal-powered plants.
It took a while for us to realize what was going on, but I think once we saw the correlation between what was going out of the smokestack and what was landing in the water, and we really got a better understanding of what was actually happening.
What was happening was wide-scale destruction of the Adirondack's 6.1 million acres of protected forest land. Trees, wildlife, and water suffering the corrosive effects of acid rain. But even after state and federal laws cracked down on some emissions, the Adirondacks continue to be plagued by rain up to 30 times more acidic than normal levels. Those who call the Adirondacks home see the effects firsthand.
I think there were 17 different varieties of fish on Big Moose Lake at one time, and now there might be a half a dozen.
Major Bose is 90 years old. He's lived in the Adirondack Mountains almost his entire life.
Rain has leached a lot of the nutrients out of the soil, and when you walk around, I see more trees dead than I've ever seen before.
But the effects of acid rain really hit home when his daughter took ill as a child. He suspected their well water was the culprit.
When it was analyzed, we had 3 times the amount of lead and 5 times the amount of copper in our water system. And it all came because of the leaching of the pipes and because of acid rain.
The Adirondack Lake Survey Corporation has been tracking acidity levels in 52 ponds and lakes since 1984. Their first report in 1990 showed that nearly a quarter of them was too acidic for fish to survive.
We've had a problem that is so bad to the extent that we have had brook trout fishery losses.
Today, they're finding that the percentage of acidified lakes has increased from 45 to 51% in the last 2 decades.
We shouldn't feel reluctant to drink fresh water from an Adirondack stream, but we can't. We shouldn't feel reluctant to eat a fish from a beautiful Adirondack lake. And it's all as a result of air pollution that we really don't have any control over here in New York.
The only way to stop acid rain is to crack down on mercury, nitrogen oxide, and sulfur dioxide emissions, pollutants currently left out of federal regulations.
It's interesting, you know, I think this really just shows people that there is hope if they do something to clean up the plants.
Yeah, it's a slow process, but it's taken about 25 or 30 years to get to the point where we know what we have to do.
Acid rain, climate change, air pollution, the dangerous legacy of more than a century of burning coal. And as we'll see, the desperate calls to end the reign of King Coal are leading to some innovative and controversial new visions for our energy future.